Allan Kardec and the Birth of Spiritism. A doctrine of reason, morality, and eternal progress. Spiritism was born in 19th century France, yet its essence transcends eras, nations, and creeds. Mediumistic phenomena had existed long before Kardec's time. From the oracles of ancient Greece to the mystics of the East, people had always sought communication with the invisible. But it was Allan Kardec who gave this vast field of experience order, method, and meaning, transforming what had been a curiosity into a coherent doctrine grounded in reason, morality, and the laws of nature. From teacher to codifier. Allan Kardec was the pen name of Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail, born in Lyon in 1804. A respected educator, he was a disciple of the renowned Swiss pedagogue Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi, who taught that true education must develop both intellect and morality. This emphasis on reason and ethics shaped Rivail's entire worldview, and would later define his approach to spiritual phenomena. For most of his life, he had nothing to do with the supernatural. He taught, wrote textbooks on grammar and arithmetic, and managed schools in Paris. But around 1854 he began hearing reports of the mysterious turning tables, seances in which tables supposedly moved on their own, spelling out answers to questions. What many treated as a fashionable diversion, Rivail decided to study with the same discipline he applied to his teaching. At first skeptical, he soon observed that the knocks and movements followed patterns that could not be attributed to chance. The answers given during these sessions displayed intelligence and coherence, as if guided by conscious beings. Rivail reasoned that the cause had to be an intelligent principle independent of the participants. Thus began his investigation, not as a believer, but as a scientist seeking to understand the method and the message. Rivail compiled thousands of questions and answers received through various mediums, comparing and verifying them to ensure consistency. Only messages that were logical, morally sound, and confirmed by multiple independent sources were accepted. This rigorous scientific method gave birth to something entirely new, a structured understanding of spiritual communication. In 1857, Rivail published the results of his study under the pseudonym Allan Kardec, a name he was told had belonged to him in a previous incarnation among the Druids of ancient Gaul. The book, titled The Spirit's Book, contained 1,019 questions and answers explaining the nature of spirits, reincarnation, the moral laws of life, and the destiny of the soul. It was not a religion, but a doctrine based on observation and reason, and it marked the official beginning of Spiritism. A doctrine of three pillars. Kardec described Spiritism as having three complementary aspects: scientific, philosophical, and moral, each supporting the other like pillars of a single structure. The scientific aspect studies mediumistic phenomena, examining how spirits interact with the material world. Kardec treated these manifestations as natural, not supernatural, seeking to understand the laws behind them. The philosophical aspect answers humanity's oldest questions. Where do we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going? It presents human beings as immortal spirits, progressing through successive lives toward moral and intellectual perfection. There are no eternal punishments, only consequences, lessons, and opportunities for growth. The moral aspect draws directly from the teachings of Jesus, understood in their pure, spiritual sense. Kardec insisted that Spiritism introduces no new morality, it merely restores the essence of the gospel: charity, humility, forgiveness, and love, free from dogma or ritual. Quick pause. If you're finding this interesting, please hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next episode. And hey, if something here sparks a question or personal experience, drop it in the comments below. I read them all. The Spiritist Codification. Over the next decade, Kardec organized the ideas and teachings he received into a coherent system, now known as the Spiritist codification, composed of 5 major works. The Spirit's Book, the foundation of the doctrine, explaining its principles. The Medium's Book, a practical guide to mediumship and spiritual communication. The Gospel according to Spiritism, a moral interpretation of the teachings of Jesus. Heaven and Hell, a study of divine justice, illustrated by the testimonies of spirits. The Genesis, reflections on creation, miracles, and prophecy from a rational perspective. Each work builds upon the others, uniting science, philosophy, and morality into a single progressive vision of life. Reason above all. Kardec insisted that no teaching should be accepted blindly, even those transmitted by spirits. Every idea must pass through the filter of reason. His famous principle remains a cornerstone of Spiritism today. Unshakable faith is only that which can face reason in every era of humanity. This insistence on rational analysis distinguishes Spiritism from superstition or mysticism. For Kardec, true revelation could not contradict logic or moral conscience. He also affirmed that Spiritism and science would evolve together, each illuminating the other. Spiritism will walk hand in hand with science, and science will walk hand in hand with Spiritism. Beyond the veil. Through Spiritist teachings, Kardec introduced key concepts that continue to shape spiritual thought: the perispirit, the semi-material link between body and soul, reincarnation, the law of cause and effect, and the plurality of inhabited worlds. Together, these ideas provide rational explanations for human inequality, natural suffering, and the apparent randomness of life. When Kardec passed away in 1869, he left behind a vast body of work, not a religion, but a moral and philosophical framework open to reason and progress. His followers continued his mission, spreading Spiritism throughout the world, particularly in Brazil, where it found fertile ground in a culture of faith, compassion, and charity. The living doctrine. More than a century and a half later, Spiritism remains a living doctrine, dynamic, rational, and profoundly human. It proposes that true progress lies not in technology or power, but in moral transformation and the practice of love and charity. Allan Kardec summarized Spiritism with remarkable clarity in the preface of the book, What is the Spiritism? Spiritism is at once a science of observation and a philosophical doctrine. As a practical science, it consists of the relations established between spirits and men. As a philosophy, it comprises all the moral consequences that flow from those same relations. Through this simple yet profound definition, Kardec positioned Spiritism as a bridge between faith and reason, science and spirituality, the visible and the invisible. It is not a belief imposed by authority, but an invitation to reflection, a journey toward understanding, self-improvement, and the realization of our divine potential. Before we finish, if you'd like to know more about Allan Kardec and his extraordinary work of codifying Spiritism, there's a remarkable biography written by Henri Sauce, originally a commemorative address that later became the official account of Kardec's life. You'll find all the details and the link to the book in the video description below. If this message touched you or helped you see Spiritism in a new light, please take a moment to support this channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with others who might feel the same connection. And if you wish to contribute in a more direct way, you'll also find information below on how to make a spontaneous donation through PayPal or international transfer. Every act of support, no matter how small, helps me continue spreading these teachings of light and hope. Thank you for being here. for listening with an open heart, and for helping keep the spirit of Kardec alive through understanding, compassion, and truth. Until next time, may peace and clarity always be with you.